Hello and welcome to the Two Banks of Four podcast with myself, Harry Moore, and my co-host, Tom Atkinson. Tom, how have you been, mate?
I've been really good, thank you. How about you?
I've not been bad myself. So, we just want to put our notice at the start of the video. Our regular co-host, Tommy Ratib, he's not been here for a few weeks now. We know a lot of our fans in the comments below are eagerly awaiting his arrival. We don't know where he is. He seems to be ditching us every week. Please, if you see him, do get in contact. Let me know. I think it's a joke. But, you know.
He is currently missing.
So, Tommy, if you are listening, mate, we're here. We're waiting for you to come and rant about Spurs, mate, because we all know you're trying to stay away while the situation's unfolding at Spurs. But
you watch, he'll appear, they'll beat Liverpool the weekend, and he'll just magically appear.
Yeah, you know how it is. But anyway, moving on to the pod. This week, we're going to be talking VAR. We're going to be talking the big game of the weekend, which was Manchester United versus Liverpool. And we're going to be closing with the Supporters Say edition 2 with Dom Leadbetter, who's a Villa fan. But more on that later. So far, what happened last week? Last week, it was a very uneventful week. As for the week before, similar kind of thing. We've had a very few uneventful weeks. Reason being, international break. Let's not get it shaded. The Premier League is the best league in the world. There's always going to be action to talk about when the Premier League's on. But when the international break happens, we're pretty lacklustre, we're pretty starved of any content. So last week we were talking about the Bulgaria situation, the racism that was taking place, and all those issues over there. But this week we're back to the football. We want to be focusing on the football, have a bit of a brighter tone to it, because last week no one really wanted to be hearing about that. It was a dark and dismal issue to run past. And we hope that with the new Premier League No to Racism campaign, it can obviously sort that kind of issue out that we see so often now. But moving on to this pod, first thing we're going to be talking about this evening is the VAR situation that we've had the past weekend. I think you can agree with me, it's been an absolute joke so far. Decisions are inconsistent, they're ruining games, they're ruining it for the fans. We're going to be talking all things VAR tonight, all the games that have been affected by it. Villa, obviously, at home to Brighton, massively affected. Could have been crucial to them. Wolves versus Southampton, same kind of thing. Wolves possibly robbed the 3 points. We'll be looking at that. Burnley versus Leicester. Key disallowed goal for Burnley. The Clarets will not be happy about that at all. Sean Dyche, as he said in his post-match interview, he's a fan of VAR, but they did it wrong. They got it wrong. And then we're going to be closing with the Manchester United versus Liverpool game. But we're going to be expanding on that a bit more. What do you think? What did I think? Key decisions that the ref got wrong, tactical plays that Klopp got right, tactical plays that Solskjaer. To close the show tonight, we're going to be talking Supporters Say, episode 2, with our guest tonight, Dom Leadbetter. Dom's a Villa fan. He's going to be telling us about his opinions on the season Villa have had so far. Also, just touching on players who could improve, players he thinks have done well. So that's the pod tonight. We're going to hop straight into it. So here we go. Topic 1 is the VAR situation as a whole this weekend. So what are you thinking, Tom?
Yeah, so obviously over the weekend there are some very controversial VAR decisions, especially in the games between Wolves and Southampton, and we also saw it in the Villa game. I just want to know, so what was your opinion? You know, give us a little a story basically on that VAR decision and what you thought should have happened.
So basically, from a fan's point of view, I was at the game. I was watching from the north stand, so I was in the opposite end to which it happened. Ball's run into the box. Matt Ryan, the Brighton goalkeeper's come to kind of gather it or punch it. He's made, in my opinion, from our point of view at the time, he's made a fluff of it and he's gone to punch it and Wesley's put him off. While this has happened, the ball has dropped to John McGinn. John McGinn's then played the ball, and then it's fair to say Hurahan has delivered an absolutely amazing strike and it's gone top of the corner. To us, this looks like a normal goal, and here's the thing. The celebrations happen, they take their time to get back, everybody gets in position, and suddenly the referee starts walking back to where the incident happens, blows the whistle and VAR overturns it. See, here's the thing for me in VAR, because the decision itself was given because apparently Wesley put a foul or a challenge in on the keeper. So here's my thoughts anyway. How can a referee take that long to work out a decision? I don't think it's factual. I don't think it's right. A referee, if they think about the TV monitor on the side of the pitch. I
completely agree.
So you've got the decision. The referee's made one decision. The goal stands. Martin Atkinson at Stockley Park, has made another decision that the goal doesn't stand. So here's what really, really annoys me. That's one decision by one ref and one decision at the other. All you're basically saying at this point is that Martin Atkinson has a different opinion to the referee that's officiating the game. To make it valid, let the ref check the monitor, and then that makes a tiebreaker decision. If the referee agrees with his own decision by looking at the monitor, then brilliant, you've got an outcome. If the referee looks at the monitor and doesn't agree, then he sides with Martin Atkinson. It's 2-1, and you go away from the decision. At this point, they've only got a 1-1 decision. I don't think there's any logic behind it at all. In your opinion?
I think the time it's taken to make the decisions on the pitch so far is so long, the referees may as well go and check the screens on the side of the pitch. And again, it will clarify the decisions. As you said, at the moment, the referee's just going what they hear in their ear. And if they have already made a decision saying that the goal should stand originally, and then it's been called back and they've gone, oh, okay, I'll overturn it. That's what, I just said I don't understand, because if they think the goal should stand originally, then they're just going off someone else's opinion. How many times this season we've seen a referee go to the side of the pitch and actually look at the screen to review the incident? Because as far as I know, it hasn't happened once.
No, it hasn't.
You see it in all the European leagues, them checking the screens, but it's not happening in the UK because they don't want to, waste time and keep the game flowing. But as far as I'm concerned, the way it's gone this season anyway, it's disrupted the game, and I don't think it's been that efficient.
I really have to agree with you. The efficiency of this VAR, in my opinion, the one thing about VAR is the fact that it's all right watching at home. That's fine. It's being a fan at the ground. You have to kind of pause your celebration. I think any Villa fan who was at the game on Saturday would agree with me that once Grealish scored his goal, which was eventually the equaliser, I think every Villa fan half-heartedly celebrated or held their breath when they were celebrating, because no one can celebrate confidently anymore. The first thing you do when you score a goal, or the first thing you used to do when you score a goal, is you look at the linesman. The linesman's flag is down, you check the ref. The ref's walking back, guess what? It's a goal. You go mad. You could do that in a split second. You just look at the linesman. You know what I mean? We can't do that anymore. Now you've got to wait till the ball's in the centre circle. You're getting more cheers from fans once the VAR decision's been given than when the ball goes in the back of the net. And for me, that just takes what football's about completely away from the fans. I mean, it's meant to be about passion. It's meant to be a stress reliever. You're meant to be able to go to a game on a Saturday and get all the stress of the week that's just passed out of your system. Now you're half-heartedly celebrating goals. I think it's a disgrace, to be honest with you.
I completely agree with you, and another thing which gets on my nerves, I feel like a lot of decisions now that are being made are completely pathetic, in the sense of they're being made because they thought, let's use VAR to check the goal, and they've seen an incident. I mean, now you're looking at goals going in, and in the build-up to the process, one of the opposition players being tripped over by the attacking team, and they're bringing it back for that foul. I just don't understand. To me, the purpose of VAR being brought in was correct, but I feel it is being brought in too quick. There are too many mistakes, as we said, it's not efficient, and I feel like their priorities of what they're looking and checking on is completely wrong. They should have brought it into the Premier League. They should have focused on the offsides first, I think, and then gradually, maybe the seasons go on, you bring in the handballs, you bring in the other decisions. They've overloaded it with everything at once, and it's just not working.
So, for me, the biggest mistake VAR made this weekend has got to be on the Burnley versus Leicester City match. Anybody watching the game or anybody who watched the highlights would have seen what happened. Chris Wood has essentially scored a goal. Johnny Evans is running into his net to clear it, and he makes contact with Chris Wood. He hits the deck. Every fan goes and celebrates. Obviously, all the players go and celebrate. Everybody's going absolutely ecstatic. But, and here's the big but, the referee blows the whistle, checks VAR, and disallows the decision because here's the thing though. Johnny Evans, for one, was never getting back to that ball in the goal mouth. Never. He's not fast enough. And here's the second thing that Sean Dyche mentioned in his post-match press conference. He noticed, and I think once a lot of people look back, they noticed as well, Chris Wood's eye vision or whatnot, his eye line does not change at all. It does not change one little bit. He's focused in front of him, running towards the goal, and he makes contact with Johnny Evans. If you're going to do that, how come we're not seeing VAR decisions for every single time a player clips someone when they walk past? And fair enough to Dyche, he said that he still loves the concept of VAR and he thinks it's a brilliant thing, but they got it wrong this time. Why hasn't the referee gone check the monitor? It's beyond me. But I think that was the biggest decision made this weekend, just past. I can't really see the logic between it, and at the end of the day, it's cost Burnley a valuable point against the opposition that could be essentially scrapping them for the top 10 position, top 6 position.
Leading on from that, I just want to touch on again, with these decisions being made, I feel like now it's been introduced in the league, the officials feel like they have to go to VAR, it has to be reviewed, and I feel like a lot of the decisions were decisions which never would have been made years ago. A bit like, the guy you just talked about, Burnley. Last season, that would have been a clear standing goal. I think plenty of other goals as well. And I really do think they're using it stupidly, quite frankly. I think they're using it just to look, is there anything there? Oh, that could be a foul, you know what? Let's call it back. I feel all it is doing is penalising the attacking team. I mean, we haven't really seen decisions this season for VAR take it away. On the defending team, it seems every decision being made is against the team which has scored the goal or the team which is in the attacking position. I don't agree with it, quite frankly.
So for me personally, I think with VAR, and this is a very unique opinion, you may completely disagree with me, but I think they should look at how cricket do it and take examples from there. I think that there should be a review system. Possibly. Each captain should be given one review per half. So if there's an offside, they could potentially review it. But if there's a clear handball which the referee gets wrong, then they can't if they've already used their review up. A game of tactics more like. So you introduce a tactical side to the game, which I think a lot of people prefer to this nonsense that you got going on at the moment. But I would also take into consideration things like the view of the eye. We saw with Ben Stokes in the ICC World Cup final, when the bat hit the ball when he was running and dived, if you remember correctly, they checked whether his vision and whether his running line changed at all, and they concluded that it didn't. He didn't deliberately get in the way of the ball. You take that into consideration with Chris Wood and his situation. He hasn't changed his running line and his vision is still on the ball. How's it any different? It's not his fault that the ball, his feet have essentially touched Johnny Evans. I wouldn't even say it's a trip. I say it's a clip. Two players have touched, and Johnny Evans, of course, every modern day Premier League player is going to make the most of that kind of situation. But that's exactly what he does.
Now, touching on that and moving forward, to me, a clear example of what you have just said was in the Liverpool versus Man United game. This is a decision which I want to touch on, being a Liverpool fan. Which did annoy me a bit, and it was the disallowed goal for Liverpool with the Mane handball. Now, you've just touched on there saying about how it wasn't deliberate. To me, this handball on Mane, it wasn't deliberate. The ball's, first of all, he's been fouled by Lindelof, in my opinion. He's been held back. The ball's gone over the top, it's coming down, and it's obvious he's trying to control it either on his knee, and it's came down, it's deflected off, and it's hit his arm on the way down. Now, to me, again, as you've just said, I think it was very harsh on Mane for the handball. I don't think it was deliberate. And I was looking up the actual rule that VAR have for handball, and it says if the ball hits a player's hand or arm from close range, or the arm is close to the body, they will not be punished. I don't understand how it has been overturned, and again, I feel the referee should have gone to the side and looked at it. But the way it's going, they aren't. They're just going from what they're hearing in their ear, and I just don't think it's going to advance in the correct way.
See, here's where I disagree with you, because obviously with the Mane goal, I feel like in that situation, whether he's meant to do it or not, if the ball has hit his hand and that's helped him score a goal, I think that's got to be overturned. I think he's using the part of illegal play, using his hand. Whether he went to, he couldn't have not meant to use his hand whatsoever. I don't care. It hits his hand, it helps him, it shouldn't be a goal. That's what I think anyway.
I understand where you're coming from. You know, I guess it was against Liverpool. I probably would be saying what you're saying. You know, I think that's quite obvious. We're all subjective to our own teams. But I think what angered me more, it was, in my opinion, so he's not looking at the ball. And when I was just looking at the rule which VAR said, I think that's what angered me more. Looking at it and seeing that they said if it hits it from a close range, or if the arm is close to the body, which it was, they shouldn't be punished. You know, as I said, it just goes back again. The referee should be having another look. At the end of the day, how long it's taken the decisions anyway, I don't care if it has another 30 seconds, a minute off the pitch, if it gets it right. Because VARs came in supposed to help the league and help make the right decisions. But I think a lot of decisions VAR has done so far could easily be overturned again.
I do agree with what you're saying about the fact that they've introduced it as a whole too early. I think that maybe starting it with offsides and then moving into the attacking phases of play being overturned would have been the best way forward. Another thing I don't like is the fact that they pushed this whole Alan Shearer motive before games. I don't know if you've been to if anyone here has been to a game, they would have seen that video of Alan Shearer before the game that they play, trying to rile up the fans. I feel like it's a massive dig at the fans, him having to explain how the VAR rule works every
Quite
game.
patronising.
And then the thing that really gets to me is then you see on Match of the Day the same thing. He does not accept that VAR is wrong. So he's obviously been paid a massive sum of money to back VAR
and to build it up.
I think it's all corruption. I don't see how you cannot think it's corruption.
I completely agree.
A man's been paid a fortune, said, look, no matter what your opinion is, I want you to agree with a certain thing. It's a bit like the Manchester United former players who are still on the Glazers payroll. They'll never speak out about the Glazer family because they will want that future role at the club. It's the same kind of prospect. The corruption, it's not corruption, but it's like these people are on our TV screens constantly. At least give us a fair opinion. Don't tell us a paid off opinion. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's what I think. But looking back at the Manchester United versus Liverpool game, so try to have a touch on that. What did you think Liverpool could have done better in that game? Because obviously it was a lacklustre performance and a draw is possibly a lucky result.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite obvious Liverpool weren't up to their best. It's frustrating from a Liverpool fan's point of view because, you know, we've played so well this season, you know, dominating games, won all our games so far. You know, we've been pressing teams, playing fluidly, but, you know, whenever we go to Old Trafford, you know, something changes. United seem to step up their game. I mean, look at the form United's been in recently, and they come into the game against Liverpool and they're playing, you know, like one of the best teams in Europe, crying out loud, against us, that we haven't seen at all throughout the whole season. But we weren't pressing, they were pressing us. We didn't, as I said, didn't seem fluid, and we just couldn't break their defence. Now, you can't say how it's annoying that United were playing defensive, because you should have tactics and things in place to try.
You should expect that from United.
Yeah, exactly.
Surely.
It was going to happen, and they, at the end of the day, they should have had things in place to break that down and to counter that. But although we didn't play well, I think a point was deserved. I think if United had have won and got the 3 points, I don't think they deserved that. At the end of the day, we had 68% possession to their 32. We had 10 shots to their 7. And I did feel like we controlled the game, but again, we just couldn't break them down. And, you know, it's hard for me to say, but I guess I have to respect United on that sense, that they did keep us out for so long. We were lucky with the Lallana goal coming very late. But again, you could say, you know, it was the United defender, I think it was Lindelof, that missed the ball for it to come to the back post. And, you know, that's Lallana's first goal in 29 Premier League appearances since May 2017. So I'm happy for Lallana to get the goal, but, you know, from my perspective, it's disappointing we didn't get the 3 points, but I'm not going to complain. Away from home, we got a point, we're still unbeaten, so it's not the worst.
Obviously, Klopp's come out and he said he's not happy with how Solskjaer's set up, but for me, he's got to expect that. You're the best team, one of the best teams in Europe in form right now. How he can expect anything other than United to sit back is beyond me. I think United, in terms of the approach to the game, actually came out and attacked it quite well. I think they could have sat back a lot more than they did. And especially once they conceded the goal and went 1-1, we saw them sitting back a lot more, which you can kind of say fair enough. But I think Liverpool's defence got a bit of a wake-up call in that game. I think if they're playing a team like City and they play like that, then I'll tell you what, with the quality City have, and even teams like Chelsea, and obviously they beat Chelsea and Leicester, but the teams around that quality in that top 6, we'll see about it on Spurs on Sunday. Obviously Spurs are in bad form, but they have got players who can do damage at the right moments. All Kane needs is half a chance. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's not the point. What the point is I think Liverpool's defence, it got a bit exposed on Saturday. I think they showed that there is weaknesses to it. Obviously Rashford finding the gaffes and Dan James blitzing past Andy Robertson. Something that you don't see so often from that Liverpool side, but I think it did show a few flaws this week.
This is the frustrating thing. Our defence has been what still is, in my opinion, the best defence in the league. We've got the best fullbacks, the best centre back, and to me, Joel Matip is class as well. Like I've said in previous podcasts. The problem is when we play away from home, you can't use this as an excuse because, of course, you're playing away from home. We have got the results, but when we're playing the big teams, I don't know if it's the atmosphere or the way we're playing. It just, it's not working for us at the moment. I mean, Old Trafford, of course, is a hard ground to go to, especially, our biggest rivals. But again, you could go to in the Champions League as well when we've gone away from home, where we lost 2-0 to Napoli. We need to get it sorted, really. I think Klopp needs to have a word with the rest of his team and just try and create something to counter any defensive styles that we come across or any other styles of play, because to me, Klopp using Solskjaer and his tactics as an excuse is just pathetic, really. It's nearly as bad as when he played in the wind last season.
Yeah, that's pretty pathetic.
To me, that's quite disappointing from Klopp, because I absolutely love him as a manager, his passion, what he's done for the club. I can't deny he definitely is one of the best managers, in my opinion, in the club's history. From where he's took it from when he started to where we are now is a huge transformation. But the big question is whether he can take us now to that next level of the league. I feel if he can win the league with us this year or next year, I think that'll be the pinnacle, basically, of for us and for Klopp. And I feel like when his contract ends, he will then leave. But if he doesn't win it this season, it does make me wonder, will he leave at the end of the season or next season?
I kind of think he'll stay on and try and do whatever he can to win the league, because any manager coming into Liverpool knows if they win the league, that's God tier status.
Yeah, exactly.
Honest. You win the league with Liverpool, you're an icon. If Brendan Rodgers, and let me just say, I respect Brendan Rodgers as a coach massively. I think he's one of the best in the Premier League.
No, I do agree with that.
But if he won the league, he'd still be hailed at Liverpool. They probably have, at the Kop, how they have flags with Bill Shankly and some of the 6 European managers like Rafa. Is it Bob Paisley?
Yeah, Bob Paisley.
I reckon even though he didn't achieve anything else other than the league, I genuinely think his face would be on a banner.
At the end of the day, it's 30 years since we've last won the league, as everyone likes to remind the Liverpool fans. But once that's achieved and we do win it, I feel like we can go on to bigger, better things, and almost in a way, there's going to be a weight and an expectation, I think, lifted off the players, because I feel at the moment the players in the back of their minds, and definitely Henderson as captain, he's been at the club for 7 years now, he knows the pressure. This is something they have to win, and the lead we've got at the moment, the lead we had last season, this is something we have to do. But what people I think are forgetting as well, I was looking the other day, I can't give the exact number, but I know for a fact before Ferguson came in at United, United have had a period of about 40 years or more where they did not win the league. But it's funny how United fans and everyone else seems to forget these moments. It's only because of more modern football that Liverpool are being bought up. And obviously in the league we haven't had the success compared to others.
I'll tell you what, these things happen in stages as well. Let's not get it twisted here. These spells of success, they come in stages. Obviously Liverpool had theirs before United had theirs. United had then dominated under the Ferguson era. Chelsea get involved early 2000s and then established themselves. Arsenal late 90s, early 2000s, they established themselves. City, 2008 onwards, now one of the dominant forces in Europe. These things constantly happen. They come in cycles. It's like, it's a bit of a lackluster kind of example, but even down the bottom of the table, you had teams like Villa surviving every year by the skin of their teeth. They get relegated, through the process again, come back up. Swansea were hanging on for years. They went down. They're still down there. Wolves were hanging on for years. Went down again, came back. Newcastle went down, came back. These things happen in cycles. The Premier League 10 years ago, when the likes of Bolton, Portsmouth, Sunderland, Villa, QPR potentially, these were the solid building blocks of the league. They made it up. You look at the Premier League 10 years ago compared to now, the difference is massive.
Yeah, it's completely different.
The difference is massive. It's the same with the league, the top of the league as well. Who would have said years ago that Leicester City would now be champions, well, have a Champions of England title? They'd be Premier League holders. Like, who would have said that? Not me, and certainly not you. But here they are again, second place, pushing Liverpool for their money. It's absolutely crazy. These things do happen in cycles though, and you never know when the next cycle's going to come along. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of football. Liverpool could dominate for the next 30 years, or when Klopp leaves, Liverpool could sink right back down to where they came from and the players could leave. You just don't know. You do not know. Next up on the Two Banks of Four podcast, we're going to be talking about the situation that is happening at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. And for me, it's a weird one with Spurs, but then it's not a weird one at all at the same time. I think it's a situation that a lot of fans have seen come in for a while. You've got a Spurs team where I wonder about the balance. I really do. Because they've gone out in summer transfer window, sorry. After they've won the Champions League, they've got all this appeal. And it's the first time Spurs have been able to give Poch a bit of cash in a while. Let's be fair. So now they've given him the money and they're not performing. Do you see where the pressure suddenly comes from? Beforehand, everyone's like, oh, literally 12 months ago, oh, the job Poch is doing at Spurs with no money is unbelievable.
Yeah, exactly.
Poch for European Manager of the Year, whatnot. Now everybody's saying, okay, well, he spent a bit of cash, pressure's on, because he's not getting the results, You know what I mean? Instantly, things get tough and the pressure goes up. And when the key performers in your team aren't performing, then that's when things start to get a bit panicky. I know Tommy, who's a Spurs fan, has said it before. He's Poch out, and he has been for a while, because he feels like he can see straight through the guy. His tactics, they've played the same way for multiple years. Teams have started to figure them out a bit more. The fact that subs seem to be absolutely terrible. And obviously, I understand why Pochettino is hailed as a bit of an icon at Spurs, because the way he's taken them from where they used to be, hovering around that fifth place kind of area, up into Champions League finalists and second place, third place constantly in the league. I think there's a reason he's hailed. I understand that, but times are tough for Spurs, and I think he's got to check his shoulder. We look at the results, especially from Colchester in the penalties, they got knocked out. We look at the situation they had at Brighton, where they got battered, I think it's fair to say. That was a beatdown, that Brighton game. That was not nice at all. They got exposed by a team that wanted it more. And that's the thing, because it's clear Brighton don't have the quality that Spurs have. But that game, it almost seemed like they weren't interested. They did not want to be there. And when you're a manager, and a manager like Poch, who the players love playing for him, you can tell from the interviews they do on the YouTube channel to the things they say about him to other media. They love playing for the guy. But when they're not playing for him, that's when you start to worry about, is there something going on behind the scenes? Like, it gets deeper than football. You know what I mean?
I exactly know what you mean. And I think you have to touch on as well, drawing 1-1 to Watford at home.
Lucky result that was.
Exactly.
Because De La Feu definitely should have got a penalty for Tongan's challenge on him. Many people might disagree with me. The way I see it, De La Feu skips past him and Vertonghen's got a trailing leg. I think it was criminal that he didn't get it, especially after a VAR check. But
I think we can relate this to the start of this podcast, really, back to VAR, how again, another decision from the weekend, which in my opinion was incorrect. But you're playing bottom of the league, a team which hasn't even won a game yet since August. In front of your home crowd in your new stadium, and you scrape a 1-1 draw thanks to a goal in the 85th minute.
And let's be fair, another thing about VAR, I'm sorry this podcast has been plagued with it, but that goal as well, you could argue that's came off Ali's hand. The goal said no goal on the VAR screen.
Exactly, it's a shambles.
But was given by the ref. I mean, how can we talk about linking it back to how the fans and how it affects the fans? The people watching at home aren't the ones getting bothered here, really. The people are the ones who pay their hard-earned money for their season ticket at the start of the year, and they don't even know where a goal's been given or not.
I think we have to touch on really, Tommy, who isn't here with us at the moment. He went down to that game at the stadium. Realistically, if you're a Tottenham fan, you're going down to your home ground to watch them play Watford.
Especially from the West Midlands as well, which is a long way, so it's costing you a bit.
That's a long drive, first of all. You've paid the money. You're excited, probably first game you've seen in the new stadium against bottom of the league. You're expecting a good victory. And to not only see another poor performance from Spurs, but, a draw, thanks to, a controversial decision at the end, not knowing if you've actually scored or not. How realistically flat in the sense of you've just conceded and then you score at the end.
Again, I think it's one of those
check.
situations where if I go to watch my team and they break their backs for the fans, they go for every challenge, they put in 100%, they run a mile, then I can accept that.
You can't ask anything more.
If they lose to a 1-0, but they put in the effort that we expect to see as fans, you can't doubt that. But when the players don't want to seem like they're there, they don't look like they want to be there, that's when it starts getting a bit nitty-gritty. That Brighton game, the Spurs players did not look interested at all. If I was a fan, I know Brighton isn't that far away from North London, but still, it's you've got to wonder about the passion the players have got. A lot of those players have been there for a long time. Vertonghen, Alderweireld, Kane, Son, the players like Son now, they must have been there for a while. I mean, are things getting a bit stale?
Well,
at Spurs?
You're watching the games now, especially the last game. When I was watching it anyway, there's big players, as you just said, on that pitch. And Kane, for example, you're not even realising he's playing, basically. That Watford game, I didn't even really see his name being mentioned, touched on the ball. He's not having the impact. And you have to go back to what is the origins of this problem with the players. Is this just the team are in a run of form, which isn't very good? Or is there more to this? Is there problems with the manager? Is it the tactics?
Let's not get it twisted, yeah. Spurs did win 5-0 in the midweek game at the Champions League. But some teams, you can say, are suited to the league or whatnot, suited to knock out. That, I respect that, because that is a performance that says, okay, we're here, don't doubt us yet. But no one's going to care if they get battered tomorrow. You know what I mean? No one's going to care. If they can't go on Sunday against Liverpool, and it's not going to be an easy game away at Liverpool at Anfield as well. But if Spurs go there and put in a performance, suddenly everybody starts to forget. Everybody starts to forget about the whole Poch this, Poch that, tactics this, tactics that. All it takes is one game sometimes. I think that's the case with Spurs right now. A good solid performance against Liverpool could turn their fortunes around and get the fans back on board. I do feel that.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you there. And the thing I think as well is, as you said, a game can really change people's views. But it's quite controversial, I guess, me saying this, but I do feel maybe a lot of Tottenham fans are being quite hypocritical at the moment. I know they're in a bad run of form, but they're saying Poch out, yet this is the guy that took their team to the Champions League final. Tottenham, how did they get to the Champions League final last year? I will never know, quite frankly, because I don't think they even have an amazing team. And again, if they do something on Sunday, again, how do you know that opinions won't change again to, okay, maybe we're going to get back into form? I think it's going to be one of those things really where it could go either way. It's just going to be the next few games which could decide Poch's future at the club.
So that's enough for Spurs for now. Obviously, Tommy's back next week, so it's a subject that we're going to let him delve a lot more into because he's got first-hand experience going to that Watford game recently. So it'll be interesting to get his opinion and his insights on that. But moving on, we're going to talk about a game that's just passed us while we've been doing the podcast, actually. And it's the fact that Leicester City have just put 9 goals past Southampton.
Unbelievable.
It equals the all-time biggest scoring result ever. No, so it broke the away record and joined the all-time Premier League goal scored in a game for a win. So fair play to that. And talking about Leicester, they're a force to be reckoned with, are they not?
At the moment they're just unbelievable. They don't look like they're going to lose at the moment. Rodgers has created a team which is just immovable really in the top 4. Every single player is putting their bodies on the line 100%, and I don't think you can go through that Leicester team and say any player which is underperforming at the moment.
If I'm with Manchester United, Arsenal, Chelsea, even City, there's a place in that top 4 for a usual customer, and it's going. It's being threatened. For all we know, Leicester may drop off towards the end of the season. Fair dues. But at the moment, I'll tell you what, some teams who'd usually get that safe spot in the top 4, they're going to have to be watching. Because at the moment, they're above Manchester City. And say Villa go to City tomorrow, early kick-off, and grab a result, because it's possible, we've seen it. With City's injury problems, who knows? But if, say, Villa go there and pull a result, then suddenly Leicester, the next closest challengers to Liverpool. And that's when things get interesting. Because we've seen Leicester, they've got the passion to do it. They may not have as many players from that season, but they've got a core. The Vardys, the Albrightons, Wes Morgan's still there. They know how to win the league. Liverpool don't. I mean, when you weigh those two things up, no, you laugh. Towards the end of the season, when the pressure starts building, have Liverpool got players in that team who have won the league? Yes or no?
I've got nothing to say.
Exactly. There we go. Whereas Leicester, on the other hand, have got players who have won the league. They know how to do it. They know how to deal with the pressures that come with it. So, in my opinion, I don't think you can look past Leicester. I really don't.
I mean, we have to look at some of the stats tonight. I mean, 25 shots compared to Southampton's 6. I don't even know how Southampton registered 6, really. I mean, we saw a bit of the game tonight. Leicester, 73% possession. And that clearly showed, not only were, they put in the goals away, they controlled the game so well. They just seemed dominant. All the time we watched it, I don't think Southampton did anything in Leicester's half. It was constantly Leicester building pressure on the Southampton back 4, or should I say, back 10, because they played everyone behind the ball. And they just seemed comfortable. Rodgers was really building an amazing team here. I say building, but they had the players. Rodgers just brought his philosophy to the club.
And his philosophy. Can we just talk about the fact that Brendan Rodgers is such an overlooked manager? It's disgusting. It's disgusting. I think what he did at Liverpool gets overshadowed. Then he goes to Celtic, and I know Celtic have been winning a lot, but Rodgers was the man that had to deal with the Rangers team coming back into the Premiership. And he rebuilt that squad, let's be honest. He rebuilt that Celtic team the way he wanted, and then went and did the treble, I think they call it.
Yeah, it was.
So, that's another reason that Rodgers is just an incredible manager, I think, and he gets very, very overlooked. Yes, Leicester had the players, but you look at them under Claude Puel when they had him. Lacklustre, slow, tired. The players, he wouldn't even start in Vardy, for God's sake.
It does come down to the manager, in my opinion.
It has to be. It has to be the manager. And when you put Rodgers in a club like Leicester, who have ambition, I think Leicester, you looked at all the Premier League teams last season, Leicester were one of the biggest prospects, I think. If you're a manager, you're thinking, who would I love to build? Who would I love to take on? Leicester City. And the thing I love about it as well is when they sold Maguire, it would have been so easy for Leicester to go out and buy an £80 million centre-back, to overpay on the likes of Nathan Ake, right? It would have been easy for them to do that.
But they put the
Instead, they trusted the man they bought in, Soyuncu, and boy, he's
delivering.
He's delivering.
And I don't think we can even look over Johnny Evans, really.
Oh, Johnny Evans, right? Here's the thing. one of the most underappreciated players.
I completely agree.
He's amazing.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think I'd be saying that. He's one of those players who I guess you don't really look at, or it sounds awful, but acknowledge that much.
Right now, he's in my team this season.
Yeah, it's not until this season which I'm looking at and I'm thinking, you know, at the back he is immovable. And I think the biggest thing and the key aspect, I guess, of his game at Leicester, you know, he's a leader. He's got experience in that team. He commands the back four. Like we said in our review
he's
a few weeks ago.
He's a league winner. We got to remember this. Johnny Evans has won everything there is to win. He's at Leicester because he's ending his career, and he doesn't look like he's ending his career. He's 31, 32, yeah, fair dude.
He almost looks in his prime at the moment.
I was watching that game and I was noticing every header, Johnny Evans just seemed to be in the right position. I mean, that's what you want from your centre-half.
I mean, he's like a fine wine. He's just getting better with age at the moment.
And for me, they're the best type of players. Players that prove that age doesn't mean
James
anything.
Milner.
A James Milner, you could say. A Wes Morgan, league winner in his 30s. Could it be happening again? Wes Morgan, can you imagine? League winner, double. 2 Premier League medals.
If he won 2 Premier League medals before Liverpool did, I think I'd stop supporting Liverpool. That'd be disgraceful.
I'll quote that in the 38th episode of the 2 Bags to 4 podcast, where we'll be looking back on the league season.
But before we move on, I just kind of want to touch on as well, we can't overlook really Southampton. Because at the end of the day, they are now down to 18th in the league. You know, I have no words really on that performance. How can you lose 9-0 at home?
It's inexcusable.
That is disgraceful. I mean, words cannot put into effect, you know, how bad that is. You know, whether you're at home, whether you're away from home, a scoreline should not be going even to say above 6 without, you know, unanswered. And they had no threats. The red card at the start of the game, the captain Bertrand as well. I mean, I think that's a big factor.
Yeah, they go 1-0 down, obviously. Their captain Bertrand gets sent off. The man they look to, the man that's been, let's not forget Bertrand, a Champions League winner. Right, he should be carrying the experience, gets sent off. Not what you want at all. That changes the game.
I mean, Harry, what do you think now? Ralph Hasenhüttl, surely he has to go.
It wouldn't surprise me if he resigns tonight. I feel sorry for the bloke because I think he's a good manager. I think he saved Southampton playing the right way last year, and he's had a hard start to the season. Let's not get it twisted. He's had a hard start, but you can't lose 9-0.
But let's not forget,
you can't lose 9-0 to anyone but Man City or Liverpool in this league and get away with it, in my opinion.
Last season, if I remember rightly, there was a spell where Hasenhüttl as manager got Southampton some good results against big teams last season. There was a period of a couple of weeks where he took Southampton back up the table a bit, and again, as you said, I think he saved them last season. But the last few games, I don't think they've been doing awfully. I don't think they've been playing at their best. But
you've got to remember, not long ago they put 4 past Portsmouth in the Hampshire derby.
Exactly.
Which obviously it's not like Portsmouth are amazing, but a derby's a derby. You got to live up to those pressures, and they perform.
I mean, you know, as you said, it just goes back to it. I think whether, you know, they've had all right results in the last few games, they're not in a good position in the league, and when you lose by that amount at home, you know, you can't really go forward in that. If he doesn't get sacked, he should resign realistically, because that is unacceptable.
It really wouldn't surprise me if he resigned tonight. It really wouldn't.
Watching the game, the stadium's half empty.
It is, yeah.
And I do not blame them at all, because quite frankly, it was an abysmal performance by Southampton, and they were lucky it wasn't 10.
They were very lucky indeed. So this week on the Supporters Say, we've got Dom Leadbetter coming on. Dom's a Villa fan. He's been a Villa fan for as long as I can remember, as long as he can remember. So we're going to give him a ring and let him say some of his opinions on how the team have got on so far this season.
Hi mate, how you doing?
Hiya Dom, you're live on the 2 Banks of 4, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks mate. What about you?
Yeah, not bad. So we're just going to be asking you a few questions on Villa, obviously, today. I know they're a club that you've supported for a long time, as long as you can remember.
Exactly,
I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
So the first question I thought I'd ask you is, obviously you've been supporting Villa for a while. What's your best moment supporting the club, and how long have you really been supporting them?
So, in terms of how long I've been supporting them, I'd say I remember my first game. I can't date the exact year, but I remember it was a 1-1 draw at Villa Park against Bolton. Ashley Young scored a free kick. That's all I remember from it, really. I was only a little kid. And yeah, since then I've been hooked, really. And I'd say my best moment, there's two up there. One, the obvious one, last year. Earlier this year, last season, playoff final win.
Yeah, I think a lot of Villa fans would agree with you there.
Yeah, I mean, that one's up there for most Villa fans who've been alive for only like 30 odd years. So that one's got to be up there. And then I'd also say the Blues game last year, the Hutton goal, is something that you never thought you'd see, really. You know, you're right back, he loves the club, running from his own half to score against Blues.
I think you have to agree, yeah. No one really saw that coming.
I'd say those two definitely up there, yeah.
Hi Dom, it's Tom here. We're just wondering, what are your opinions so far on the season then? How do you think it's gone for Villa? What do you think?
Well, it could have gone a lot worse. It could be a lot better as well. I think, I don't want to point the fingers at VAR because I think everyone does that, but I think every Villa fan will admit that we've been on the end of some pretty poor decisions this year. Pretty poor, mate.
I'd say worse than that. I'd say terrible.
Pieces handball, pieces handball. Played Arsenal. It's a clear and obvious error. It's a handball. I've seen ones given for a lot less than that this year, actually. Obviously, you've got the Hurahan goal last week disallowed. It's definitely not clear and obvious. But it could have been a lot worse. I think, obviously, good wins. But then some results were against Arsenal, we should have took 3 points. Burnley arguably should have took 3 points, dominated that game. But I think we're growing into it. Tough test tomorrow, obviously, against City.
Very tough test.
But that shows how far we've come though. Sitting 14th in the Championship after 38 games, I think it was last season.
Yeah.
To show that, you know, now we're playing away at the champions. It's a great occasion.
Do you always feel that with City's injury problems going into tomorrow, Villa, in the form that they're in, could kind of capitalise on this, possibly?
You know what, I was talking about this with one of my mates who's a City fan earlier, and he said if there's one time you want to play us, it is tomorrow. Obviously, we know about some of the injury problems City have at the back, and then Zinchenko and Rodri today have been ruled out of tomorrow's game, so it's going to be interesting to see how they line up. John Stones is back, but he's probably a little bit rusty. So yeah, I think tomorrow is the best time to be playing City. Obviously got Liverpool the week afterwards. Not looking forward to that one, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that should be an eventful one at the Villa Park.
City, but City, I genuinely think I'm an optimistic fan. You know I'm an optimistic fan.
Very opposite to myself.
You're pretty pessimistic compared to me in terms of predicting scores, but I think we can get a result. I think we've got the ability. We do have a habit of bottling games. Go on up now, we'll definitely.
Do you think we're past that stage now, though? Obviously, there's a lot of points dropped earlier on in the season. Do you think we're almost past that phase and now we're winning a few games?
You like to think so. I mean, getting that late goal against Brighton showed that we're not just kind of giving up, rolling over, settling for a point or whatever. We are giving it more of a go. Maybe we were just a bit almost like scared for the first few games, but yeah, I think we just about got over that stage now, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow, seeing what we can do.
So, moving on to look at obviously the season as a whole, as we were previously. If you had to pick out your star performer for the season so far and the player that's disappointed you, and you want to see more from in the second half of the season, who are you pointing the finger at?
So, we're talking Villa players here,
yeah? Yeah. We're talking the players over the season so far.
So, I'd say, in terms of disappointments, Al-Ghazi has been up there. He's incredibly inconsistent. I think all Villa fans would agree with me on that one. He had a great game against Derby in the playoffs. I haven't seen him have an amazing game in the Premier so far, to be honest. He's probably up there in terms of people I had a high hope for that kind of haven't followed up on that. In terms of who impressed me, the one, especially in the last few weeks, is Jack Grealish. Now, I'm going to say something quite controversial, possibly. I think he walks into any team in the league apart from Man City. I don't know what Tom's going to think of that. But I could name at least one player in all of the other 18 Premier League clubs that he would play ahead of. City potentially, like if you count their injury crisis, potentially he could get in there now. I'm not. It's a difficult one because I think he performed even better in a better team. He played in the top 6 team. I think he could play even better than he is now, and he really is that good. And if he's not in the next England squad, then God knows what Gareth Southgate's smoking.
So in terms of the worst player so far, you said El Ghazi. What can he do in the second half to kind of improve? What do you think he's missing from his game?
I don't think I'm not sure whether it's the way we're playing, but I'd say both of our wingers, El Ghazi and Trezeguet, I haven't seen enough of them. I'm not sure if it's maybe they've been told to not, take on players one-on-one, because that is what tends to catch people's eye as a winger. Maybe they're just told to be a bit more reserved in their play by Smith. I'm not too sure, because I've noticed our crossing stats haven't exactly been through the roof this season compared to last season. We were one of the highest crossing teams in the Championship, and that seems to have changed a little bit. So I'd say have a bit of confidence, take on your man. I'm not the manager, I can't tell them what to do, but they're both capable of doing that. So yeah, just have a bit more flair and creativity about their game, really.
So moving on now from the best and the worst player in the team, who do you think in the Villa team so far has surprised you, exceeded how you thought they'd play or came up and has really shocked you?
I'm going to say our centre-back, Bjorn Engels. Now, not many people, even now, will probably have heard of him, because he's not a standout performer who gets those 9 match ratings every week. But he's been solid, and with Mings obviously coming in for 20-odd million, Engels was a fraction of that, I think, 8 possibly, something around there, and he's been absolutely rock solid, arguably in some games better than Mings.
I have to agree there.
He doesn't get the attention and the media kind of attention that Mings gets because of that Mings is English and his price tag and all this, but he has been quality. I knew nothing about him before he came, but
neither.
No, yeah, but he's been class, so I'd definitely say he's surprised me the most, yeah.
So before we move on to the next question, I just want to know your opinion on Jack Grealish and his performances so far. How do you think he's fared in the league so far?
Well, yeah, as I kind of briefly touched on earlier, I think he is one player that we've got that has potential to go on to the best teams in the league, not just in the league. I'd say the best teams, arguably the best teams in Europe. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but there's something about him that I've never seen. Yeah, it sounds.
The optimism isn't real. I respect it.
But I'm prepared for the backlash. But I genuinely think he can go on to do great things. I think you'll get people saying, "Oh no, he's got a silly haircut," or he gets drunk and passes out on the floor and all that. But these people don't know what he's doing nowadays, how hard he's working, on and off the field. Club now, and he's really coming into his own, and I think he can only get better. I think he's been, as I said, our best player this season, and I'm excited to see more of him.
Before we leave you, Dom, it's been great having you on, by the way.
Yeah,
realistic targets for January, who are you looking at? What position and which players, if you had to pick a few?
I'd say I'm not 100% convinced by Wesley, striker. I've always thought we need a striker who can, a kind of smaller, more nimble player. I'm going to say a bit like Scott Hogan, but better than Scott Hogan, ideally. We obviously sent him to Stoke. Because Wesley and Davis, they're both very similar players. They can hold the ball up and, bring players into play. Well, one better than the other, but we need a striker who's going to run in behind. Maybe when we're chasing a game, we're away at City, you want a bit of pace up front. In terms of ideas for that, you never know with Villa, because I've read we're going to invest a lot of money in January. We had likes, I'm going to name things, likes of Belotti from Torino linked in stuff like that. That's ambitious.
That is very ambitious.
But with our new owners, I'm an ambitious guy. But with our new owners, I think they could surprise us, because they've invested, I think there's a lot of money they've recently invested and said they're going to spend big in January. Can be a bit dodgy sometimes, the January transfer window, but we just need a player, as I said, who's going to run in behind, either bit of pace about him, a bit like a kind of Jamie Vardy, Conor Mull. We're not going to get anyone anywhere near as good as him. I doubt. I really rate him, but just someone who can offer something a little bit different up front. That's what I think we need. And if we get that, I think we'll be okay this season, to be honest.
Alright, Dom, it's been great having you on, mate. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. No, thanks for having
Obviously,
me.
we both hope Villa do well this season, or me especially, and yourself.
I definitely do.
But yeah, thanks for coming on, mate. See you in a bit.
Cheers, Dom.
See you later. See you, mate. Bye. Bye.
So, I think we're going to conclude the podcast there. Tom, it's been, as we said earlier, an eventful week. I hope you've enjoyed it. I know I've enjoyed it. To everyone who's got this far and listening, we hope you've enjoyed the podcast yet again. Episode 7 now, it's been going for 7 weeks. A bit hard to believe, it's come so far since the first episode. Again, we just want to thank every single one of you that is watching the videos every week. We want to thank every single one of you that is subscribed. You don't know how much it actually helps, like the morale of doing this every Friday. Obviously, we're giving up quite a lot of our social time that we have after college and stuff like that. So anyone who subscribes and views, it makes it that little bit more worth it. We appreciate that massively. But see you all next week, same time, same place. You know where we'll be. youtube.com/2banks4. Check us out on Spotify. Check us out on Instagram, Twitter. You know where we are. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next week.